What if I told you that waste isn't really waste at all? Today, we're going to dive into how the incredible, explosive rise of artificial intelligence is actually shining a huge spotlight on a hidden and, frankly, massive flaw in how we build pretty much everything. And believe me, this goes way beyond your recycling bin. It gets to the very heart of how we design our future. So, let me ask you this. What does a scrapped car have in common with a supercomputer? Now, it sounds like the beginning of a bad joke, right? But the answer actually reveals something incredibly fundamental and honestly a little bit disturbing about the world we've built. You see, the real issue that AI is forcing us to look at isn't really about AI itself. Nope. It goes so much deeper than that, down to what the source material for this explainer calls a fundamental flaw in all of human design. And here's the flaw in a nutshell. We are exceptionally good at creating things. Think about it. We build skyscrapers that touch the clouds. We send rovers to Mars. We design unbelievably complex machines. But we are exceptionally poor at deciding what those things become next. We are absolute geniuses at writing the first chapter of a story, but we are terrible at writing the last one. The source material puts it pretty bluntly. Nature never makes this mistake. And that simple sentence sets up this incredibly powerful comparison we're going to keep coming back to. The contrast between our system and a system that has mastered the full life cycle, from beginning to end and all the way back to the beginning again. Okay, to bring this idea out of the clouds and down to earth, let's look at a perfect real-world example. The source calls it the vehicle paradox, a case study in ecological farce. Just stop for a second and think about what it actually takes to build one car. It is a monumental effort. It requires pulling vast amounts of materials from literally every corner of the planet, pouring in enormous amounts of energy, and managing global supply chains of just mind-boggling complexity. We invest a staggering amount of the Earth's resources and human brainpower into creating just one of these things. And then what do? We crush it, we destroy it. And why? Well, it's almost never because the car has actually stopped working. It's usually because it doesn't quite meet some new regulation, or it's fallen out of fashion, or, and this is the big one, it just doesn't fit the quarterly profit cycle anymore. Our entire system, from the ground up, is optimized for replacement, not for continuity. And this right here is the absolute key. This isn't just a failure of our recycling programs. It's not a waste management problem. It is a fundamental design failure. We are engineering things from the very beginning with their own destruction baked right in. So if that's our broken model, what's the alternative? Well, that brings us to nature's rule. And that rule is breathtakingly simple. No waste. Ever. And you have to understand, this isn't some nice ideal. It's the core operating principle that has successfully run an entire planet for billions of years. How is that even possible? Well, it starts by completely redefining the word waste. In nature's system, there's no such thing. Waste is simply a resource that's waiting for a new context. A fallen leaf isn't garbage, it's the future soil. A dead animal isn't an end, it's the beginning of 1,000 other life cycles. It's a total 180-degree mindset shift. Our systems, our engineering, our economics, the whole shebang, they're all obsessed with one single question. Is this optimal? We want peak performance, maximum efficiency, right now. But nature asks a totally different and frankly much more resilient question. What can this still do? It's a huge shift from focusing on peak performance to focusing on continued utility. And it is so critical to understand. This isn't some fluffy, feel-good environmental idealism. For nature, this zero-waste, continuous-use system is just pure survival mathematics. It's like the universe's ultimate accounting principle. Any system that produces outputs that no other part of the system can use will eventually choke on its own exhaust. That's not philosophy, it's physics. So, what does all of this, cars, nature, design philosophy, what does it have to do with artificial intelligence? Well, this is where things get really, really urgent, because AI is acting as the great accelerator of this exact problem. AI isn't actually creating a brand new problem. What it's doing is taking our oldest, dumbest design flaw, our obsession with creating disposable things, and it's putting it on hyperdrive. As the source says, it's the same old mistake, just massively, massively accelerated. Does this list look familiar? This AI hardware boom mirrors the car paradox perfectly, but it's happening on a terrifyingly compressed timeline. We are in a global arms race for computing power. We're building vast clusters of GPUs that demand enormous amounts of energy, rare earth materials, and incredibly specialized silicon. The scale of it all is immense, and it is growing exponentially. And this, of course, leads to the one unavoidable question for the entire industry. The pace of AI development is just lightning fast. I mean, every new generation of AI models demands so much more power, it makes last year's hardware look ancient. So in just a couple of years, when today's top-of-the-line cutting-edge GPUs are considered too slow, where do they go? This brings us to the choice that's right in front of us. The source argues that AI isn't really the villain here. Instead, it's a mirror. It's reflecting our own flawed design philosophy back at us with shocking, undeniable clarity. And maybe, just maybe, it's offering us one last chance to fix our biggest mistake. We talk about efficiency all the time when it comes to sustainability, but that's not enough. Efficiency just reduces harm, right? It doesn't get rid of it. True sustainability comes from something else: continuity. It comes from designing things from the start so that every single component has an ancestry, a purpose right now, and a planned out future. And this should be the new standard we hold all of our technology to. A technology that cannot account for its own afterlife, for what happens after we're done with it, isn't advanced. By this definition, it's just plain irresponsible. And maybe this is the biggest idea to walk away with today, this powerful redefinition of what progress even means. It's not about what we can build in a single moment of brilliance. True progress is measured by what can still live and thrive in the world long after we're finished with our creations. Which leaves us with one final critical question. Is AI destined to be the powerful engine that accelerates our greatest design mistake, creating mountains of e-waste on a scale we have never seen before? Or will it be the mirror that is so huge, so impossible to ignore, that it finally forces us, all of us, to learn the one rule that made complex life on this planet possible in the first place? The choice, it seems, is still ours to make.